Twitter criticism Saturday. Tomorrow, this time, this hour, I'm going to know if I'm the champion of 5 kilometers racing. I guess not, but I'm going to do a really great fight. I guess I already decided my shoes, my sneakers. I guess my sneakers are not perfect. Or they are kind of, look, I guess my sneakers, they should be more thick, you know, but my sneakers are kind of soft. So what about that? I will try to win a race, a 5-kilometer race with those shoes. Maybe they are kind of too I don't know how to say, too soft, and yeah, I prefer more thick ones. But the thicker one, they're too thicker. Who knows? I will see then tomorrow. I'm going to read some news from, I don't remember, the Genocide do Cielo. Let's go to Genocide do Cielo. You know, I don't like to read all this terrible genocidal news, but I feel it's my duty as a literate human being. As a literated human being. And there's a video as usual. At least 33 children were killed by Israeli attacks on schools housing displaced Palestinians on Thursday in Gaza. I guess is this what I'm seeing right now? A huge explosion. 33 children. It's terrible. Look. Anyway, live updates from Al Jazeera. Quote unquote, devastating Israeli strikes kill at least 29 across Gaza since dawn. Israel bombs northern and southern Gaza as video emerges of the killing of 15 Palestinian medics by its soldiers. This is by Usaid Siddiqui and Niels Adler. April 5th. And the summary. First, at least 29 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks across the Gaza Strip, with airstrikes killing Palestinian civilians in the northern south. 2. New video evidence emerges showing Israeli forces firing on clearly identifiable ambulances in an attack that killed 15 medics and emergency workers in Gaza. At least 100 Palestinians killed. At least 100 Palestinian children have been killed or injured each day in Gaza since Israel broke the ceasefire on March 18. The head of UNRWA says. UNRWA. Third, Gaza's health ministry says at least 50,669 Palestinians are confirmed dead and 115,225 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza. The government media office updated its death toll to more than 61,700, saying thousands of people missing under the rubble are presumed dead. At least 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the Hamas-led October 7, 2023 attacks, and more than 200 were taken captive. 6 minutes ago. One killed in Israeli attack on Khan Yunis. A Palestinian has been killed and other injured in an Israeli drone strike on Bani Shuheila, a town in the Khan Yunis governorate of the Gaza Strip. Our colleagues at Al Jazeera Arabic report the governorate has come under heavy bombardment by Israeli forces, with at least 6 Palestinians killed earlier in a strike on the Kisan Abu Rashwan neighborhood. Yeah, I guess looks like the bus is broke.
¿Qué pasó? ¿Por qué no pues no hacerle caso al Rodrigo y los colectivos. ¿Pueden seguir andando? Sí. Y cuando vayan acá, sí, están como en la puerta. Ay, me da miedo. The bus broke down, but still running. So we are going in a broke bus. I didn't got what happened, but let's see. 10 minutes ago, there's a new live update. The new live update says, a few seconds ago, watch. New video of Israeli troops shooting Gaza emergency teams. A new video has emerged revealing details of an Israeli attack that killed 15 medics, including 8 from Palestine Red Crescent. This bus don't I need another bus, not that one. Anyway, Gaza emergency teams, a new video emerged revealing details of an Israeli attack that killed 15 medics, including 8 from the Palestine Red Crescent. Watch video below. The video says, a new video reveals Israeli forces killing 15 Palestinian medics, including 8 from the Palestine Red Crescent. 10 minutes ago, one kill in Israeli attack on Khan Yunis. A Palestinian has been killed and others injured in an Israeli drone strike on Bani Suheila, a town in the Khan Yunis governorate of the Gaza Strip. Our colleagues at Al Jazeera Arabic report the governorate has become under heavy bombardment by Israeli forces, with at least 6 Palestinians killed earlier in a strike on the Kisan Abu Rashwan neighborhood. There's a photograph of a woman stands at the site of an Israeli strike on a house in Khan Yunis. 15 dead. A lot of destruction. 15 minutes ago, Israeli troops deployed to new security corridor across Gaza. Israel says troops have deployed to a newly established, quote-unquote, security corridor across southern Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday announced the new Morag corridor and suggested it will cut off the southern city of Rafah, which Israel has ordered evacuated from the rest of Gaza. A military statement on Saturday said troops with the 36th Division have deployed in the corridor. Maps published by Israeli media showed the new corridor running the width of the narrow coastal strip from east to west. Morag is the name of a Jewish settlement that once stood between Rafah and Khan Yunis. And Netanyahu suggested will run between the cities. Critics call it a land grab. Israel has also reasserted control over the Netzarim corridor that cuts off the northern third of Gaza, including Gaza City, from the rest of the strip. The Philadelphia and Netzarim corridors run from the Israeli border to the Mediterranean Sea. And there's a photograph full of guns and violence. Israeli soldiers continue to seize more of Gaza's land. 25 minutes ago, April 5th, human rights lawyer condemns Israeli killing of Gaza paramedics. Geoffrey Nice, a lawyer who previously worked at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, denounced the footage released showing 15 paramedics in Gaza coming under heavy Israeli gunfire. The video found on the phone of a deceased paramedic Rifat Radwan shows their final moments in Gaza on March 23. Speaking to Al Jazeera, Nice described the incident as quote-unquote deeply disturbing and indicative of war crimes. Quote, the only conceivable justification Israel's leadership may offer is that this was a rogue element, Nice said. Quote, but unfortunately, when you have got the people who can send the bulldozers and the diggers to bury the bodies, the people who send out the public relations information, which turns out to be false, it's very hard to believe that this is a rogue element. End quote. Nice call for urgent international action, saying Western powers must launch an investigation. Quote, without better justification or any justification, this is a terrible, serious war crime. End quote. And a new video reveals Israeli forces killing 15 Palestinian medics, including 8 from the Palestine Red Crescent. 35 minutes ago, photos. Palestinian children queue for food in Gaza City. And there's a lot of children. People gather to receive food distributed on Palestinian Child's Day in Gaza City. Items that used to be available, such as flour, are gone because of Israel's week-long blockade. European foreign ministers have said Israel's blockade risks violating international humanitarian law. And a new bus, another bus. And here we go. What happened to these photographs? New live update available. European foreign ministers have said Israel's blockade risks violating international humanitarian law. Hamas has accused Israel of reneging on the ceasefire that ended the Gaza war for 2 months. And the last photograph, about 2 million people in Gaza face severe food and water shortages.
as Israel continues to block relief. I'm going to read the last one and then the recent one. 1 hour ago, Hamas armed wing releases video of 2 Israeli captives alive. The Qassam Brigades has posted a more than 2-minute clip in which one of the 2 Israeli men appears with a bandage on his right cheek and right hand. Speaking to the camera, the captives are horror, describing how they survived an Israeli raid. Hamas on Friday said Israel's attack on Gaza is creating a, quote, highly dangerous, end quote, situation for the captives, warning half the living ones are in areas where the army ordered forced evacuations and continues heavy bombardment. This is interesting. 1 hour ago, UN. 100 children killed, wounded in Gaza every day since war resumed. The United Nations says at least 100 children have been killed or injured every day in Gaza since Israeli strikes resumed on March 18th. Quote, nothing justifies the killing of children, end quote. Philip Lazzarini, chief of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, posted on X. Israel is turning the besieged territory into a quote-unquote no land for children and young lives. And young lives are being, quote, cut short in a war not of children's making. End quote. He said, quote, this is a stain in our common humanity, Lazzarini added. There's a photograph, injured child brought to Al-Auda hospital in Nusayrat refugee camp. And the more recent one. 30 now dead in Gaza after a day of Israeli strikes. This is just today. 1 Palestinian has been killed following artillery shelling in the vicinity of Al Salem Mosque in Gaza City's Shuhaya neighborhood. The latest killing brings the death toll to 30 since the early hours. Let me tell you, I never figured out that you can use hostages like this. It's being very, very pedagogical to me.